Yeah.
Fuck you, bro.
And Noah. No, we can take Noah too.
Oh,
Actually, I'm busy. Like, whenever you're planning on scheduling this, I actually have something going on that day.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll still let you know though. I'll still let you know. And like maybe you can like show up for like a couple minutes, you know?
Yeah, no. Now that I fucking work 50 hours a week, I don't have any free time.
Hey,
Yeah.
it'd be like that.
Fair enough.
Making that bank though.
Oh yeah. Cutting that wood.
Huh?
Cutting that wood.
That
Those shingles. Shingles.
Metal, baby. It was all fucking metal.
Okay.
Yeah, I was covered in metal by the end of the day. I cut like 250 yards of metal, but
Damn,
that's a lot.
all right, don't even fill me in on the topics. Let's just start recording. And
It's already recording. So what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Mindcation. We brought back the tradition of just starting to record when no one's paying attention and just starting the episode out.
Flying blind, baby.
How's everybody doing?
I'm doing swell.
Immaculate.
Wow.
Okay, you got to come up with a word, Isaac.
Intense.
Well, it's good to have everybody back. As people noticed, we actually started posting more on our Instagram page. We put out some challenges this week. Nobody responded, but that's okay. We're just gonna have those there just so at least people can think about them.
It's true.
But both the first one on the Monday was the feeling stuck type of challenge. What's something that you're trying to do that you haven't done, and what plan of action you're going to do to kind of overcome that. We kind of talked about that on the last episode. That's kind of what sparked that up. And then Tactical Tuesday. Not sure who posted that. I'm assuming it was Noah. But that one was also really good as well. Just some perspective of seeing setbacks as opportunities for growth, which was
it was good. It was good, as Jocko would say.
Exactly. And then a little workout Wednesday with Mr. Sir Isaac. Deadlifting out there, doing all of the weights, all of the plates that were at the rec, with the most meme face of all time at the end of that video.
That was solid.
And then,
I don't know where that came out of me, bro.
You just stared at the camera like that, like you were
natural. It wasn't natural. I mean,
were you planning on doing that, or was that just like once you got it up, you were like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna stare him down," kind of like dropping the mic type of thing?
It was more of like once I felt it just budge, it was like, oh my god, and it just went up, and I was so excited by how easy like the rep was comparison to how I thought it was gonna go. Mm-hmm. That I did a little like cocky asshole, just like stare into the camera type shit, and then I slammed the shit. But really, I'm not that kind of person all the time, Like,
sure.
Whatever you say.
Okay.
That moment, I was too thrilled. Yep.
Hey, that's fair. Got to celebrate, So we'll try to keep posting things like that. We'll try to have more posts throughout the week. But the fact that we got 4 up during the week was a big win for us, considering we went from just posting once, maybe. So
hey, it was only up from there.
Yeah, exactly. So
We're
gonna look out for more great content. We'll eventually get that video up of Isaac getting pied in the face that we've yet to record. But that's still in the back burner. We're just waiting.
Yeah, that is.
Waiting for the best opportunity for that to happen.
I think we should just do it at a random time and just kind of surprise him. Like it's like a surprise hit,
Rounding corners inside the wreck and squeak.
No, just show out of nowhere.
Bro, do you know how like decently upset I would be if I was on my way to like class or some shit, and then one of you came around the corner with a pie right all over my shit, like all over my like fucking clothes, like
out of the bushes. I'm not even in school anymore. I'm gonna hide on campus. I'm not even in school anymore. I'm just gonna.
You're just gonna be there. You're gonna be disguised as one of those like preachers with the microphones outside the Union, and then you're just gonna take it off and just start running with the pie, and then that's exactly what you're gonna do.
Yeah, nothing better than walking by those people at the Union and they're like, "Hey, do you have a second to talk?" And you're like, "No."
Honestly, don't even say anything. I just usually have my headphones in, so I just walk past. Like, I definitely hear them, but I just walk past because I'm just like, nah.
Dude, the best was when it was during the winter and I had my Unabomber look where I had the hood up, hat on, glasses, and headphones. Like, no one talked to me.
Well, that's the same with like anybody that's standing out there, like, or like in the Union, like with the booths or whatever, where people are trying to talk to you to get you signed up with something. Like, just look straight ahead and don't make eye contact.
Act like you don't hear anything.
All right. Well, I want to kind of piggyback off of Isaac's deadlift thing. A cool question I want to ask you guys: What's your favorite lifting moment that you've had? Kind of like most memorable to you? Because I know, like for me, one of the ones that sticks out to me the most is when I finally got the 100 dumbbells for what it was at 7 on incline bench.
Yeah,
because that was something that I had been working on for a long time, and the fact that I was able to get it that many times was pretty awesome. So that's kind of one of my, for sure, like highlights, I guess, of my lifting career.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, mine would be probably back in high school when I like first squatted like 315. I just like that number, like 315. And when I first did it for 1 rep, and I mean that was when I was weighing like 150, something like that. That was pretty fun. That like started that honestly started my like lifting. So I think that's why that was so important, because that's why like when I really got into it and I was like, okay, I can do this. This is something that I enjoy and that's fun for me. So I would bring it back to like when I first started, for me at least.
That's fair.
Isaac, go ahead.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
It's probably when I deadlifted 600 at my second competition ever, or third competition ever. And then I didn't think I was going to do it because the first deadlift I got pretty meh, and then the second deadlift I barely got, and then it was like a 40-something pound jump after I just barely got it, and then I just like shook my way to the top, dude, and then I got the rep, and then I started crying, and then I hugged Desi, and then all this shit. Yeah, I mean I ended up I don't know, it was a really, really cool, sweet, good moment.
Yeah, that video was insane. I remember seeing that for the first time because I knew you hadn't really ever like pulled anywhere near that in the gym before, and so then
that was definitely probably like the highlight, of the career so far.
For me, 2 come to mind. The first one was like last summer, the first time I ever benched 225, because I'm just an atrocious bench presser, and I just kind of went for it. And Gabe was spotting me, friend of the show, and I got it easy, it went up real easy, and I was just kind of hype. I like threw my wraps across the gym, and I was like, I'm done. I'm not lifting ever again. Like I
can retire.
Yeah. And then the other one was actually pretty recently. Like last summer, I set my deadlift max at 475, and I was probably like 200, almost 230 pounds was my body weight at the time. I was a thick boy, and and then this summer, me and Reed lifting together, we were just kind of throwing weight on the bar one day and just kind of seeing how much we could do, and we got up to like 485, and my body weight's, I'm like 25 pounds lighter this summer, and we haven't been deadlifting hardly at all, and I ended up pulling a 10-pound PR after not deadlifting for like 2.5 months, and so it was just kind of like holy crap. Yeah, I know. It was kind of like that makes no sense that happened. It was just kind of sheer will type thing. I didn't want Reed to show me up because he pulled it pretty easy. He pulled it easy, and I was like, okay, well now I have to try and pull it. So and then it went up and felt pretty good. Dang. And Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus was playing. So that's my new PR song.
Can't change it now.
Yeah, can't change it now.
It's good. perfect record so far.
That reminds me of the time when we were just lifting at the rec, and Noah was deadlifting, and I hadn't deadlifted in a long time, and he had like 405, and he was just, I don't remember what you were doing, and then you look at me and it's like, do it, and I was like, no, I don't think I could do that anymore, and you're like, don't be a bitch or whatever. So I was like, all right, fine.
Do it.
So then I did it or whatever, and it's like, it felt cool because it had been like 6 months and I had deadlifted or anything like that, and then I was like, bitch, I can still do this.
He's a bitch.
Yeah, and just kind of a disclaimer, I wouldn't suggest just trying to go for a PR after not doing it for a while.
That's your good peer pressure, and then it's okay.
Yeah, but I mean, like Irv had, like, you had been doing plenty of other stuff that correlated to it. But yeah, I wouldn't suggest just going to the gym like, oh, I haven't deadlifted in 6 months. Let's try and just throw a bunch of heavy weight around.
True, because I hadn't even like warmed up for a deadlift. I think I was doing upper body that day anyways, but I was like, fuck it. I guess he said don't be a bitch.
I called you.
Yeah.
Said, don't be a bitch.
That's what you gotta do sometimes.
Exactly.
I actually got a quick question for Isaac. So I know we kind of talked about like your preparation stuff to like a max out lift or a PR lift.
Yeah.
And I guess this is a question for like anyone on here. How do you go about, so you prep and everything like that, but then what happens when you go into your lift and then let's say it's like a squat or a deadlift and you start slowing up? Like you get to like midway and you get stuck. How do you get out of that hole, I guess?
Great question. To be honest, it's to isolate myself from other people. If anybody says anything to me about my performance, no matter if it's good or bad, it makes me mad. And then I just spiral out of control. So I have to isolate myself and then correct my mindset towards like what's happening in that space and time. And then I just go try to do my best and try to attack it.
I got you.
I definitely, if I'm like not doing good and it's like high stakes, I just have to do my own thing, you know, because I know what works. And I feel like if other people try to like, I don't know, just try to help, they ended up hurting more.
Okay, I got you.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I know for me, like it's like especially for like deadlifts, like in the middle of a rep, and it kind of gets like you're like halfway up and it starts getting stuck. Like for me, there's two different kind of feelings of being stuck. There's like I can tell if it's like I'm stuck, but I could probably power through this and get the rest of the way up. And then you're stuck and you're pulling and you're like, I probably just need to go back down with it. So a lot of it for me is just kind of like just having a feel and a sense for my body type thing.
Irv?
Yeah, I would say for me, it's kind of like what Noah said. I feel like I just get very competitive with myself and never want to like fail any of the sets, right? So especially when you're getting to, you know, you're starting to get pretty fatigued and you're like, oh damn, I don't know if I can get this anymore. I usually just call myself out in the middle of the set and just be like, get it, and if I don't get it, well then whatever. Right. But I keep trying to compete with myself to get those reps. And I think it always usually helps also if someone's spotting me or someone's there. And, you know, I feel like it makes you want to get those few extra reps too. So that's kind of another thing. If I know that I'm kind of slacking or I'm kind of lagging behind that day, if I ask for a spot, it kind of motivates me to want to finish out those reps. Does that answer your question?
Hey, you didn't give the courtesy shake swirl with your straw in the Dunkin' cup there.
Always
I got you.
Good question, though. Is it because you've been getting stuck at the bottom of your? Yeah.
Yeah. It's because like for me, I get into my head so much to where I'm very technical based when I go in and lift. And so if my form or if my back, like for example, on a bench, it's easy. It's if you can't push it up, you just can't push it up. There's really not a lot of technical things that go into it. And to a degree there is, depending on like your shoulders and stuff like that. But like with squat and deadlift, I get so technical with it sometimes that I will psych my own self out. And like if my back starts to round or if like on a squat, my butt dips too low or something like that, I get so psyched out in my head that I just stop pushing and then I just fail on that rep. Like, I mean, Irv spotted me both for front squat and back squat, and I failed on both of them for my last set. And I mean, both, Irv and Mark, another friend of the show, they both said, like, my form was fine. You just stopped pushing. And so, like, for me, I just am like, I get too much in my head while I'm at that state to where I do just stop pushing because I don't, one, want to injure myself, or two, I just get too much in my head where I'm like, oh, my form's shit. And so I just stop. So I'm just trying to find that healthy balance where it's just like, you know what, like you already got it on your back, so just get it up. And then just also to where I'm not going to like injure myself by any means, Yep. So that's why that question kind of came up.
And I know for me, and like I'm just going to correlate it to deadlifts because that's really the only lift that I can do. Like I do like heavy weight on. I mean, like I can squat a decent amount. Again, it's none of it's flashy numbers, but like when it comes to form, like I take like the warm up sets and the build up sets very, very seriously when it comes to form. And then you obviously try and maintain good form throughout everything. And a lot of times, like you said, when you get heavy, there's going to be form breakdown.
Yep.
But like end of the day, like if you are going for a deadlift PR and you get it up, but your back rounded more than you wanted it to, like you still completed the rep. So like hindsight, you're like, I got the rep done. I got the weight I wanted to hit. Now I need to keep getting stronger so that there isn't that breakdown.
Right.
Yep. So yeah. So for me, it's like do everything you can to maintain that form at those heavy weights. And then sometimes if a breakdown happens, like you want to avoid it as much as you can, but like sometimes it's going to happen. It's kind of the way I look at it. And that's something to reflect on after the rep. Because if you're sitting there and as you're pulling, you're like, oh, my back's rounded. Like you said, you're going to just be in the wrong headspace. Like when I'm deadlifting, like I go through my whole pre-lifting that we've talked about or whatever. And then as soon as I'm going, it's like, get the fucking weight up. It's like, get it up.
I got you.
So, yeah.
Very solid, very solid.
Isaac, would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, pretty much. I just kind of like just try to attack the weight. But like it really takes such a long time to just try to like get over the uncomfortableness. Because for me, like the walkout for the squat is the most like scary time for me in lifting in general. Just because like anything like above 500 pounds, like as soon as I like lift it off and have to step back with it, like it feels so goddamn heavy every single time. And it feels like there's just no fucking way I can actually squat it. But then like right when I get my feet in the right position and then I even start my descent, I realize how like strong I feel in that moment. And like even at the bottom, and then I just fire and try everything that I can. And I'm sure a lot of it's just like just already programmed stimulus in my brain that I'm just like, all right, yep, got to brace at this point, and it's just so routine at this point. But yeah, just trying to like get over that fear of like even like when I'm walking it out that it's so goddamn heavy and I'm not going to be able to do it.
Well, yeah, and going off of that, Isaac, you could talk. I mean, yeah, Isaac, because you do a lot of the powerlifting meets, but everyone can talk about it. Like the importance of realizing that like doing a lot of lifts properly is like getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Like at the bottom of a sumo deadlift, you're not supposed to feel comfortable there. Like it's supposed to be tight. You know what I mean? Like you're like everything. And so I think a lot of newer lifters, a lot of like the form breakdown comes when they are like, well, that doesn't feel comfortable on the bottom. It's like, well, a lot of times, like to get yourself in the right place, like everything is not going to necessarily be comfortable, right? And so I don't know. I think maybe you could touch on that some.
No, yeah, I think you kind of hit it really good right there. But yeah,
like break down, like just for the sake of people who don't really know, like break down like sumo deadlift form and like, why that might be so like uncomfortable like in the bottom of the rep.
Your hips would be the first.
Yeah, for sure. Being able to get your hips in the right position. And for those who don't know, sumo is when your hands are on the inside of your knees on a deadlift. And yep, looks like it's a lot shorter range of motion, but it's not really. And it's just kind of like sumo is naturally a lot harder off the floor, just because of the lever system. And so when you're just pulling from something that's harder off the floor, you're just naturally going to feel more uncomfortable because it's literally at its heaviest point, or I should say that your muscles are at their weakest point at that level. And then, so it's unnaturally just going to be the hardest, similar to like the lockout on conventional. But even conventional can be very uncomfortable at the bottom. But yeah, just being able to get in the right position to brace yourself properly and use the right muscles to be able to do the lift safely is just very hard at the bottom.
Well, because isn't sumo a lot of, quad and then hip drive?
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, just taking it back to like a lot of people have issues with hips and like just tight hips just because in today's day and age, whether you do have longer limbs like Noah or else you just are sitting a lot for work or stuff like that. So like the tight hips play such a huge role in sumo. And a lot of people just have struggles to get into that position because like Isaac said, your hands are between your knees essentially, and then your legs are spread fairly wide. The wider you can get them, the better. Is that kind of correct? I don't sumo deadlift, but I do a little bit of research in that kind of area. But so it's just like hard for people. Just mobility wise, sumo deadlift is very hard compared to conventional because conventional, you're like Isaac said, your lever systems, you just are starting a more comfortable position because you're like more together rather than spread apart. But
yeah, like for me, like you were saying, like some people can get in that sumo deadlift position in the bottom position and just stay there. Like just for me, because I just don't have great range of motion. I'm pretty tight in my hips, like you said. Like if I'm sumo deadlifting, like I'll spend maybe a second in that bottom position. I'm gonna extend my hips and my legs up, drop my butt down, and as soon as I'm there, I'm gonna try and pull out right away.
Yeah,
it's like more than a little uncomfortable down. You know what I mean? Like it's not something I want to be in that position very long.
Yeah, it definitely sucks because of how individualistic it is too. Like it's so much harder to I shouldn't say harder, so much more different to teach like even the 3 individuals here how to deadlift sumo. Like just crazy different body types, crazy different limb lengths, femur lengths. Like it's just so different to try to get everybody to feel powerful in that position. But yeah,
right, and it has its pros and cons. Like for me, it's hard for me to get in that position, but my arms are so long and that like I don't have to get as low to get to the bar. You know what I mean? Like I have to sit back obviously, but I don't have to sit way back. So like it has its pros and cons. Like for me, whenever I sumo deadlift at the top, I have to turn my feet in because if I drop it, it'll land on my feet because my legs are so long.
Yep.
So it's just they're just pros and like everything. There are pros and cons with it.
Yep, and I definitely wouldn't recommend sumo deadlifting to anybody that's not trying to max out in sumo deadlifting.
Right.
Like it's a very not productive position for a hypertrophy when you could just conventional or.
Well, like the deadlift in general, like it's very difficult to find. The deadlift is great and all, but like as a realistic lift, like I would. Like for a personal trainer wise, I much rather would do a trap bar deadlift just because there's a little bit less injury and there's a little bit less mistakes you can make because with a deadlift, just even talking about conventional deadlift, there's so many little technical things that you have to get right or else you can easily get injured because usually you can pull the most weight. From all 3, compound lifts, usually deadlift is usually the one that's being pulled the most, if I'm not mistaken. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I can pull this much weight. But just working in the rec and seeing all the suspect deadlift forms, like it would hurt me because it'd just be like, wow, like and so like a trap bar deadlift, I would I start, if I am ever going to program for a deadlift with an individual who hasn't, I would start with a trap bar, just getting them used to that kind of pulling and then hinge motion, and then maybe transition into a deadlift. But even still, depending on their goals and stuff like that, I think a lot more people are seeing, like, if you're like a bodybuilder or something like that, or like Isaac said, if you're going for hypertrophy reasons, you know, normal conventional or sumo deadlift might not be the best option for you, just because it doesn't have, like, Isaac's a strict power lifter, so he's got to do that lift. That's a competition lift, where like a trap bar deadlift would, it still hits like your back, your glutes, and you can make some nasty just little training, like if you want to do hypertrophy and some supersets and stuff like that with that trap bar deadlift. But that's kind of my view on it.
For sure. And you know, you were kind of hitting on you as a personal trainer, you know, kind of how you have to maneuver through, you know, what's best for your clients and things like that. You know, so far you're, out of us four, you're the only one that's a certified personal trainer. Isaac's soon to take his exam to become a personal trainer. So that's pretty exciting. Isaac, are you worried for that at all? Have you been studying? Isn't it this week, I believe?
Yeah, it's this week. Not really too worried about it, to be honest. But then again, I don't want to fail a $300 exam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you need I have a couple, I mean, on another note, I know we're recording, but I have some study manuals if you need.
No,
I have some study booklets.
Josh actually recommended a good app to me. It's oh gosh, I can't remember now. It's like
which one
Study Buddy one.
Are you taking ACE? Is it
what?
Which one are you taking? Is
it
ACE?
Yeah.
Okay, it's the okay. Yep, I have that book too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm not really too worried about it at all. But it's like a 3-hour exam, so I don't know. Just ready to take it.
There's some insurance questions on there, FYI.
Yeah, I bet there are. Yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, good.
Sorry, I kind of interrupted you.
No, you're good. We're all pulling for Isaac. We don't want him wasting $300. No, it's not pulling for Isaac.
That man should not be training anybody.
Not worth it.
But kind of staying on that kind of lane, you know, like I said, Brock is a certified personal trainer. Isaac's hopefully soon to be a personal trainer.
Yep.
And then, so, you know, especially today, there's just a lot of people that put out programs or write things for people that aren't certified in any way, right? Like a lot of people that just, hey, this worked for me, so I'm gonna make programs for other people, right? And I'm not saying you can't be knowledgeable without having a certification, right? But there's definitely a lot of people that are being misled through whether it be different influencers, right? So they can buy their programs, or just very generic things that aren't necessarily going to be tailored well enough to them, like a way a personal trainer would tailor something to them. So how do you guys view that whole spectrum of, you know, whether you should just go off of some program that you find, or you should get a personal trainer, or, you know, where should you start, type of thing?
Well, I mean, I think you hit it right on the head by saying, like, there's a lot of people out there, especially with social media and social media influences, even with Instagram. You know, it's super easy to take a video of yourself and then put it in a cool little font, make it look cool with background music and nice little transitions and stuff like that, and then say, this is all I did. But the thing is like, personal trainer wise, it's like, going into being like a personal trainer, you also have to know a lot and how to talk to your clients, because like lifting and stuff like that's very like mental and psychological as well. And so you have to see what their goals are, and then you can and then really personalize it to them, because everyone has different like mental aspects of how they go through their day, and then how they also go through lifting and stuff like that. And so a lot of the time, I recommend personal trainers because, number one, like, I mean, granted, there's personal trainers out there that shouldn't be certified either. But there's like, the good personal trainers will really talk to you and see, okay, this is what you're lacking, this is what you need. they keep you just very what's the word? I forgot the word, but they keep you just keep on going and stuff like that, and they always push you and program you to your specific needs, because a lot of those social media influencers put out those things that worked for them, but might not work for you because you have different issues and mobility issues. And then also for me, I always try to teach my clients. So then, you know, I try to teach them, almost teaching me out of a job, because I want them to feel comfortable to be able to lift on their own and to be able to go into the gym and know what they're working. Because I think a lot of people get uninterested in lifting because they don't exactly know what they're lifting. Like, you can send anyone in and say, do these bicep curls, do these tricep extensions, do deadlift, stuff like that. But a lot of people don't understand what they're actually working and what their goals are. And so I think that's why when a personal trainer comes in and you can actually talk one-on-one and say, hey, we need to fix this or that, I think it really helps that, instead of just going off of a social media influencer, in my opinion. Isaac wants to jump in.
I would have said pretty much everything that you said. But yeah, pretty much just being able to have somebody or know somebody that has some general basic knowledge in the field. Because, I mean, it's pretty easy to tell what's a good program for somebody and what's a bad program for somebody. And so, I mean, yeah, being able to get a personal trainer or have somebody write programs for you just so you kind of know more about it. And it's definitely worth the money, you know. And a lot of people don't realize that, even just for the knowledge. Because
yeah, exactly.
Any good personal trainer or coach will give you all the knowledge that you want with their programs, because they want to help support the field and help grow. So
I think that's the biggest thing to it, is like the knowledge, because that's what keeps you coming back, because there's so much more to just like exercise than just moving weight. Like, there's so much more behind that, and there's so much more science behind that. And so when you start learning just a little bit about that, you become very invested, and then you're like, this is why I'm doing this, this is how I do it right. So that's why, like, yeah, even having someone program for you, because everyone's body's different, and everyone has different mobility issues and stuff like that. I mean, us four, we all have different mobility issues for sure, with Noah's freakishly long limbs, and then Irv, you have tight knees and knee injuries.
Everything.
Yeah. Isaac, don't you have you have an anterior pelvic tilt sometimes, don't you? Weren't you working on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I've just got some problems, you know. You got that fucking anterior pelvic tilt,
Yep.
and then like my left IT band area, like lateral vastus lateralis type shit, is all fucked up.
Yep, I got you.
And so yeah. Anyway, yeah.
But like, I mean, looking on that, like, everyone has different mobility issues, so like a lot of people can't properly train off of someone else's program because they may not be able to do the exercise correctly. And so if you can't do the exercise correctly, it's not like you can message that, you know, person who's got so many millions of followers and just be like, hey, can you watch my now some of the good ones might respond to you, but I'm not saying that's like super promising. But that's why, like, even personal training, like a couple of sessions, is gonna really help you in just the knowledge aspect if you just go in with an open mind.
And I feel like that's one of, like, because there's a bunch of cucklords out there, you know, and I think one of the things to even begin to use the internet is to have the general, like, basic knowledge of being able to tell what's bullshit and what's not bullshit, you know.
Yep.
Like, losing 70 pounds in 5 weeks. Okay, if you're getting an ad for that and it's bold letters right in the front, that's exactly what they want you to see. You can use, like, basic knowledge to kind of, like, cycle out the choices. Okay, is that actually something that's legit, you know? Or is that, like, something that's fake? Is it grabbing my attention? Yeah. So, like what are, like, the hidden clues there, you know? So, and it's a lot of the same things with fitness and programs that you kind of, like, look up and stuff, and it's like, oh, get your booty big, you know, you want to get a big butt, big old wagon, dude. And then you find workouts that probably would do that, but like not as effective as those other ones. And you should be able to decipher a little bit. But I mean, if the education's not there, it's going to be a lot harder, especially for like programs specifically. But especially with a lot of supplements, that's where a lot of people can kind of get into trouble.
I was reading a lot about like bodybuilders and them putting out programs and stuff like that. And like a lot of people, I mean, I think a lot of people now know this, and I don't like discredit the bodybuilder by any means, but a lot of those bodybuilders are on steroids and things like that. And so when they put out programs, their MRVs are going to be way, 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 way higher than anyone normally who's trying to do that. So if you try to do a bodybuilder's program and how much hypertrophy that is, you're going to seriously injure yourself by just doing that amount of volume. Right. And it's just very scary because a lot of people do try that and then they end up getting hurt because they push their body way too far, because there's only so much your body can take. And everyone's at a different level, and everyone's at, has a different fatigue rating and stuff like that. So having a personal trainer is just like, that personal trainer, the good ones will go back and say, hey, like, how did this workout feel? Try to get a general feel of how well you can recover from your previous lift to then train again. And I mean, that's the most important thing is trying to keep you, one, keep on leveling up, and then two, keep you as healthy as possible. Because why train once, get injured, be out for a week, you go train again, get injured. If you're doing that, you're doing something wrong,
Yep. And that's one of the biggest things that I don't think people can utilize too, is like when you buy a personal trainer, it's not like you're locked into like a contract at all. It's like you can buy for like a month, like gain the knowledge in the field. Like he or she can help you out so much, know what the right form feels like, know how to stretch properly, how to not like kill yourself on like big lifts if that's what you're training for. And like within that month, if you do like even 2 sessions a week, like you can learn so much and be right to be on yourself after that, if it's just not in your bread bank after that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I asked that question because Noah and I had that discussion a lot back when we worked together, which is quite a few years back now. Because we'd always see people with like personal trainers, and then we'd be like, well, like some people look like, okay, they might need a personal trainer because a lot of like some of them were like, highly overweight, and it's like it makes sense for them. They might have some other health problems, they might need a little more help starting off. But then other people would seem like they seem perfectly fine to start off without a personal trainer. And it's kind of interesting to try to figure out which way to start, right? Because I think if you're a pure beginner, I think you can go the personal trainer route, but I also think you can do things by yourself as well to kind of learn your body a little bit. I think to that way you can know what you want from a personal trainer, because if you just go in without knowing anything, it can kind of hinder what you're doing and how long the experience will be, and then you kind of are all over the place, right? And then your personal trainer doesn't necessarily know how to best suit you because you don't even know what you really want, right? So I think it is important to kind of get some experience by yourself as well. But I think both are kind of important things to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially like even in like our culture, like everybody comes out playing sports usually, and it's like usually by the time that they get to like 18 or so, like they've been playing sports, if not lifting, through high school, where they'll have some like free general knowledge there,
Mm-hmm.
Always kind of helps. But yeah, I do agree with you there. I mean, it definitely takes some long figuring out to do, because that's all I did. I didn't pay for like a personal trainer or anything. Like I just like Googled like different bro workouts. Bradley Martin was like a big one in the beginning for me. Bradley Martin, CT Fletcher. Like I did a lot of like their workouts. I've bought every single of Larry Wheel's beginning workouts, and I've done them all. I still have them. I've done all of Bradley Martin's handwritten workouts. Like those were just the type of shit that I did because those were the people I wanted to look like and the type of weight that I wanted to lift and shit, So I bought their programs, and they weren't bad, but like they definitely probably weren't the level or the specificity that I needed them to be for my goals. But I mean, they did the job and they made me sore, and that's what I thought worked at the time. And
Well,
so,
and like for you too, though, that also, because like I try a bunch of different workouts too, because that's kind of how you learn though too. Because like I would never do a workout, like I would never give my client a workout that I haven't tried. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
yeah, yeah,
For me, like I always just try different workouts to see like, okay, if I like it or not, and then like how can I get this better to where it fits me, and then I translate it. Because I mean, anymore I'm training a lot more for just like one, for me to feel good and look good, and then two, to learn as much as possible. So I'm willing to try a bunch of different workouts from other people and see like, okay, does this actually work? Does this help? Like, how can I change this to make it more effective and stuff like that? And so like those, like, yeah, Bradley Martin, CT Fletcher, I follow them as well, and I've tried a bunch of their workouts, different bodybuilders, Kai Green,
yeah.
and so like that stuff, yeah, definitely helps. But for like a new beginner, that's hard, because that's jumping into a lot of volume, where some of the form
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that can go downhill. So
yeah, agreed.
Sure.
Fair enough. No, you've been fairly quiet, which is very unlike you.
I'm not a personal trainer, and I'm letting the experts speak. I'm growing as an individual and learning to muzzle myself a little bit.
Hey,
But we miss
I
your
mean,
input, you know?
yeah, I mean, for you, Noah, because you've been in sports, so you've, I mean, trained and stuff like that, and you're coaching now. So like, how does coaching basketball and stuff like that, how does that I guess just play a role? Like, same thing like how Irv asked the personal trainer questions. Like, I mean, I know obviously you have a coach for basketball no matter where you play,
Right.
unless you just play pickup. But like, how does a coach impact how does a good and a bad coach impact the ways, you know, your team plays, or how training goes and stuff like that?
Or even with like the
Yeah.
stuff you're doing, like comparing in-person coaching, like which is kind of more what you do, but you have mentioned that you kind of give them some stuff to work on throughout the week, right? And then compare to the people that are just fully online and just say like, hey, do this, and then they'll be fine.
Right. Yeah. I think the difference for me, and just like the experience that I've had between people that I found are good coaches and bad coaches, or, you know, there's different spectrums.
Right.
I've not really been around bad coaches. You know, I've just been around coaches that are better than others. And the ones that I really try and model myself after are guys that are super hands-on, in the sense that, like, they're almost perfectionists for reps. So like a lot of basketball too. It's like, if you want to be a good shooter, you have to shoot a lot. But if you're training a specific thing, you're trying to fix a certain thing. Some of the coaches I don't have as much respect for will just kind of let things slide from rep to rep, because, you know, you're just trying to get shots up. The coaches that I really respect are the ones that, for each, you know, it's each rep matters, and each rep needs to be done the way you want it to be done, right? And so like, if someone goes in and they do a rep and it's 90% right, like, you're not going to sit there and chastise them for that 10%. But you be like, hey, like, you ripped through with really good pace, you were low, you stepped through, but when you got there, you didn't really attack that jump stop with your feet, and you came up short because you didn't really attack very hard. And so it's kind of like you said with personal training, a lot of it is having that experience of doing it before. And so like, for me, like, the stuff I'm good at with basketball, a lot of it comes because I am tall and athletic. You know what I mean? Like I was never a very good ball handler. So there's a lot of times when I'm training higher level athletes where I'm putting them through drills that I can't really do myself very well. But just because I can't implement it doesn't mean I don't know how it's done correctly. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. So it's like, a lot of times I'll like demonstrate the workout and I'll lose the handle on the ball and won't be able to do it. And I'll be like, yeah, that's a bad look. But there's also that gap of being able to execute something.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not practicing basketball every day anymore. Like I'm not working on my ball handling every day. So a lot of it comes down to, and I think it's good for prospective athletes and people that are going into trainers, and just realizing that, like, how important it is to practice regularly, because I can't execute half that stuff anymore, but I know exactly how it's supposed to be done. I can look at it being done and tell you whether it's right or wrong. And so, it's basketball is one of those fields, and it's a lot like weight training, that's, I feel like, oversaturated with people that think they know what they're doing. Yeah. And I would say 90% of them do stuff that's beneficial. Like, they're not putting out total crap, but there's just like a huge emphasis on a lot of wrong stuff. Like kids are starting AAU and like select games so young now, and it's good for that competition and getting like in-game reps and stuff like that. But how many kids are going home and doing 100 front crossovers a day and sitting 5 feet from the rim and just working on their elbow and their wrist being in the right spot on their shots? And so, that correlates directly with weight training, where it's like a lot of people just want to skip over the boring maintenance stuff. Like if you watch Isaac workout, like Isaac, you do your main compound stuff, you get that stuff out of the way, and then after that, you do a lot of auxiliary lifts that like suck and aren't, they're like not fun to do. They're not flashy lifts, and they're like they kick your ass. But it's like that's the stuff that takes the lift to the next level, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so when you're sitting there as a coach and you're running a workout, and your first 30 minutes of the workout was all stationary ball handling and all, like, we call it form or touch shooting, where you're just, maintaining form, maintaining correct stuff. Like, that's the type of stuff that the pros do. Kobe was a huge proponent of that with the programs that he ran of kids don't need to be in AAU right away. They need to go hone in on their craft, keep it simple and get really good at the little things. And so that's just kind of how I've kind of applied that to. I probably need to do a better job of it with lifting, because I'm not training for powerlifting, and I train to try and stay in shape and look good. And so a lot of times I won't do like the really shitty stuff that is important, but just kind of doing the basics, doing the nitty gritty stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And like you were saying, like with the AAU stuff or with lifting, especially if you only do your main three, right? Your squat, bench, deadlift, and that's kind of all you really do, and do small accessories. Or with basketball, right? If you're just getting a bunch of in-game reps but not really honing in your craft, like Noah was talking about, you do a lot of reps that kind of cement a lot of bad habits, and like the more you do that, it's so much harder to change it later on, right? That's why it's so important to start with your foundation, right? That's why it's so important to hone in those skills at the beginning, so that way when you get to your in-game stuff, or you're actually competing in whatever, or just lifting in general, you'll be more fundamentally sound, right? Rather than having all these wrong things at the beginning and then trying to try to revert that and then learn it over correctly.
Right. Yeah. Like a big thing with like my clients that I work with right now, just like for example, like playing low, like a lot of younger people don't understand the benefits of playing down in your hips and playing low. And so like for drills and practices, I force them to be lower than they have to be. And I tell them, I'm like, because when you get in the game, you're gonna stand up higher than what you're doing in practice. So if we can get your practice baseline to be over exaggerated, then when you go to the game and you let things slide, that's gonna be where we want it. It's gonna be where we want it to be, right? Yeah. If I'm letting you be right where you're supposed to be in practice, or even a little, if I'm letting you kind of be slack like that, like Irv said, at game pace, things go so much faster. You're not able to think about stuff as much. Like it's a good breeding ground for bad habits to build. So you try and combat that by in your train, if you're squatting for powerlifting, right? It's not a bad practice for your practice reps to get lower than you need to be for your that strong rep. Because when you hit that one rep and you have 600 pounds on your back, like, yeah, you're not going to hit as low as you're hitting when you have 315 on your back, but you're going to be so used to getting that low that even if you don't necessarily hit that, you're still where you need to be.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate the conversation this week, boys. I think, we get the people a lot to kind of think about, and, we got to share our thoughts on multiple things, personal trainers, training and fundamentals, really. And then, what our favorite, some of our most memorable lifting moments that we have, and then some other stuff that I don't remember off the top of my head on what else I covered. So that's all I have. Do you guys have any parting words for the people before we tune out for the week?
Peace and love.
Yeah. If you guys want to be featured on Friday, participate in Monday's challenge.
Yep, like I said at the beginning of the episode, we'll be doing a lot of more posts on our Instagram, with challenges and stuff, and then we'll try to feature more people. That way, we can get the people involved and kind of highlight the people that listen to the random things that we have to say every once in a while. But yeah, go ahead and follow us on Instagram, which is at Mindcation19. And other than that, have a wonderful week. We hope to stay connected with you all, and we'll catch you guys again next week. Peace out.
Peace out.